Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. I'm Caitlin Davis with the Bike Cooperative. Today's webinar, we're going to be discussing the Acquire4Hire platform. For those of you that don't know, this is a hiring platform that easily posts jobs to multiple leading job posting websites across the internet. Each of our members has access to this program, so if you don't already have an account, feel free to reach out to me following this, and I'll be happy to set you up. This is being recorded and it's going to be sent out via email, and it will also be posted to our members only website. And so for our agenda today, we're going to be covering the platform as well as some new Hiring Plus features that are included or are part of the program. We have Steffen and Keith. Thank you guys for joining from Berkshire Bike Board to give a little insight into the member experience using the platform. And then we'll also have time for hopefully questions and answers at the end. So you can use the chat feature to ask your questions at any time throughout this, and we'll have time at the end to cover it. If not, I'll send out all the answers to your questions in the follow-up email. So without further ado, I will pass control over to you, Bob.
Okay, thanks. I work at Acquire4Hire, and just a little history of me is I used to work for CCA Global, and we were looking for, actually Howard Brodsky came to me one day and said, you know, the biggest problem our small business owners have is hiring. So he really wanted to come up with a solution for that, and this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago now. And we looked high and low to all the systems that were out there today, and they were very complicated, and a lot of them are really set up for groups that have their own HR department or individuals that all they do is hiring. And I know most of you do not have that luxury. It's usually an owner or one of the senior managers that do everything. So Howard and I put our heads together and said, well, if we can't find one, we should just make one. So we did. So we built Acquire4Hire, and it's specifically designed for like the individual mom and pop, one person pretty much running the show, making it as easy as possible for people to post their jobs and kind of keep track of them. A lot of people who don't want to pay for big systems end up doing it like their emails and their phones, and it gets very, very confusing. So we came up with, I think, a really great product that does exactly what it was designed to do at a really great price. And so far, everyone's been loving it. So that's how Acquire4Hire came to be. There's a lot of really basic things that it just does easily, which is post your jobs. It then pushes them up to all the places like Indeed and ZipRecruiter and LinkedIn and Google. So you get a lot of people viewing them, a lot of eyeballs. And when everything comes back to you when people apply, so it keeps it all organized, and you can have multiple people in your company, checking things out and, evaluating resumes and things like that. And then just recently, about, 6 months ago, we released our Hiring Plus product, which has a lot of the niceties that are like usually attributed to much higher priced applicant tracking systems. So the main things that we have in the new Hiring Plus are we have the personality tests, the reference checking. There's also a calendar thing, kind of like Calendly. And then the last one is questions and answers that you can send pre-interview. So I will go over a couple of those. I don't want to spend too much time because I know you guys you probably have questions and you want to do other things. So I was going to cover the two things, one being the calendar. Do you want me to demo it? You want me to share my screen, Caitlin? Can I do that?
Yep, I changed you to presenter, so you should be able to share now.
Excellent. Okay, so sharing. I've got many screens, which complicates things sometimes. Okay. Can you see my screen now? I'm looking at a version of Acquire4Hire. Okay, so here I'm in the sandbox, which is just demo accounts. And I've got this bike technician full-time job. And if I want to set up my calendar, I would go to let's disconnect that. I go to my Hiring Plus. So if you've paid for it, you can see this. Right now, you're seeing more of an advertisement that actually has a video of all the things I'm going to demonstrate today. So you can watch those at your leisure. So here we can attach a calendar, and if you've ever worked with Calendly, it's very, very similar. So it's right now we're only working with Gmail, but Gmail's free, so you can just create an account just for this if that's all you want. All I have to do is assign my calendar. So now it's connected. I can go into here, and this gives me all the hours of every day, and I can then select which time slots I want to allow people to come in and interview. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do like Mondays from 9 to 3, and maybe I'll do same thing on Tuesdays. So that's really all I need to do. Now, when I go into my candidates, when someone's applied for a job, I can just go here and I can say, go to Actions and select Send Calendar Invitation. This allows me to kind of choose, do I want a phone interview, a video interview, or in person? My length is either a half hour, an hour. I can change the subject. I can change the body, and I'm just going to send it out. So then the candidate is going to receive an email from me, Alyssa Hogan. And it's basically just here. I want to set up an interview with you. Click on this link. So they click on the link. This gives the schedule. So we only blocked out Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 to 3. So they can pick one of these days. So they're going to say, okay, let me pick Monday at 9. So this is all being done in the back. You don't even know this is happening. It's just going to go on by itself. So when they select a time, it then gets an official invitation. And then you will get, here's the calendar. So you will get the actual calendar event will be set up here, and you'll get a notification that someone did book something, and that shows up there. So that's basically it. It just allows them, rather than going back and forth through email, what time are you free? Well, I'm free here, and I'm free here, and I'm there, and blah, 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 what are you, blah, blah, blah. You understand how that can be a problem. So this just really, really simplifies and streamlines that whole process. The other thing that we do, one of the things is also the pre-screen questions. So I can ask this person like, okay, I'm not even going to interview them yet, but I want to get some answers to some basic questions. And you can use we have 5 questions that are already in the system, or you can create any kind of questions you want. You can create different questions for different job positions. And basically all you need to do is just hit send pre-screen question. Simple. So again, this is the applicant. They get another email from me asking them to answer some questions. They just click on this. Oh, I've already done this. Okay. I was trying to set up the demo this morning. Basically, it's just going to ask me the questions. And when they select all those questions and send them, I'm gonna get another notification here. And then when I log back into the system, it'll show me the answers to their questions. So I can go in here and go to candidates. And here's the one that I filled out earlier. So here's all the questions that were asked, and here's just the generic answers I put in here. But then you can then use that to then either take them to the next step, maybe put an interview together, or reject them outright. And that's it. That's how simple that thing is. Both of those. The other two that we have are the personality test and the reference checking. And that is a little more involved, but not for you. Basically, you just do the same thing. You can go to your candidate and select either a reference check or personality test. If you select the personality test, it sends the person a series of 50 questions that they can answer, and it's based on what's called the Big 5 personality traits, which is conscientiousness, which is kind of like thoughtfulness and impulse control and things like that. Extroversion, everyone knows what extroversion is. Agreeableness, like trust, altruism, kindness, affection, things like that. And then the last one, which is kind of funny, is called neuroticism. But basically, it's how people react to stress. All these things are good to know. I wouldn't use them directly for hiring, but it's good to give you kind of a baseline, because every job could be different. Some jobs really require a lot of extroversion. Obviously, your salespeople, people are coming in contact with your customers, whereas something like a technician who's in the back office, needs to be much more conscientious, like thoughtful and very good with details and things like that. So these don't really give you this is a great person. It just says this is the kind of person, and then you try to match it up with the kind of positions you have. There's a lot of assessments out there. Most of them that I've seen, if not all of them, charge for every single test you send, or they give you like a block of tests. In the Hiring Plus system, if you've already paid for that, you can send out as many of these as you want. The last part was the reference checking. This one we just released, the most recent of the four. And reference checking, as you probably know, it can be the worst part of hiring. It's a problem. It's a pain. It takes a lot of time usually. Talk about you're going back and forth between when are you free, then you set up a phone interview usually, and then people don't want to speak to you. So what this does is it actually sends an email to the candidate. The candidate fills out some questions, and they add between 2 and 5 actual references that you can check with. And they put the person's information, their contact information, their email address, and their phone. And then when they submit that to our system, you don't even see this part. It sends an email to all the people that they have used as a reference. Those people get an email, and then when they click on the link in that email, it takes them to a bunch of questions that then give you an idea of how good of an employee this person has been in the past. Would they recommend them again? And then you get notifications only when those things start coming back in, and then you can evaluate them at that point. And basically, like I said, it's very automated. So it really does take the pain out of the reference checking process. And that is all I have.
Well, thanks for covering all that. I know this is a newer feature with the Hiring Plus being released so far, but have you received any general feedback from any users of it so far, or what have been their favorite?
Yeah, like I say, well, first, the personality tests a lot of people like to use. It's so easy. It gives you a little report on each person on all those 4 kind of stats. So they just I think a lot of people just, as soon as they get a candidate, they just send it right out. The reference checking, people are just starting to use it now, so we haven't gotten a lot of feedback. The question and answer, it seems like everyone's using it. Everyone who has it uses it. And one thing I didn't mention is you can also have a video answer to a question you can choose between a video or a text answer. So you can actually get little snippets of video, usually under 2 minutes. It gives you an even better way to get to know the person before you even have to bring them in for an interview.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's great to actually be able to see somebody on video.
Yeah, and again, there are other services, that's all they do. And the last one I checked a few days ago was about $50 every time you have a job posted. So those add up. For us, you can do it as many times as you want, as long as you pay for the Hiring Plus.
Oh, great. And we did have a question come in already. Is the system robust enough for multi-locations as well as the single stores that you had mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's up to 5 locations that you can add. So you can have all the different locations. You assign a location to each position, and it just keeps track of it in that way.
Okay, great. Thanks for covering those.
And multiple users too. So if you have different admins, like one at each store, they can all have access.
Okay, and that actually brings me to another question. I know that there's different user levels within the system. It's admin, and then I believe the other one is social, is it? Can you clarify what the difference between those 2 user levels are?
So to try to get even more eyeballs on every job, we also have just what is called the social account. So these are people that work for you probably. I suppose they don't have to, but they probably would. And you don't want them in the system as admins. They're not going to be dealing with any of the resumes or things like that. But you want them to be notified whenever you post a new job, and it'll give them their own links. So when they click on it, they can post to their own socials, so their Facebooks or their Twitters or X's. And it just makes it easier to get the word out.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And you can do both. Like a person could be an admin and get the social notifications, or either or.
Yeah, I see that being a nice feature. I mean, the more you can get out there when you do have an open job position, especially in those social accounts, seems to get way more attention.
Yeah.
All right. We didn't do like a full demo of Acquire4Hire. I don't think we need to do that on this one. I'll probably do a follow-up webinar next month on that, just with more of an overview, since it has been a couple of years since we've done the basic demo video of that. So no need to cover that right now. But we do have Steffen and Keith on from Berkshire Bike Board. I know, Steffen, I think you had a game plan on how you wanted to speak to the program.
I'm the co-owner of the company, and 5 years ago we started to grow a little bit. Actually, in 2013 we had our second location. We have 4 now, but it's kind of lead into where and how we utilize this platform. Originally it was we would put out a notice on Facebook, and that was how we would try to hire people. And then we had a key position when we opened our second store. And we actually need to find the right person. And so we're like, okay, I'm constantly getting bombarded by Indeed, and I'm constantly getting bombarded by ZipRecruiter. I'm like, I'll try one of these. And so I tried both of them, not realizing the expense that these things were going to cost. And I think for just one hire, it was like $270. And back then that was a lot of money to me. And so I was like, so it was a little, we would reserve the actual real hiring process for the much bigger positions. But we ended up hiring somebody through Indeed. It worked out. And I'm like, oh, there's something to this. And, as we grew, we were introduced to this at first. I think it was, presented to us, but I didn't quite click. And I'm like, we really need a clean, robust hiring system that's going to put everything in one place. And just like you said, you're not chasing down emails. And so we fully embraced it, and it's been pretty amazing at keeping everything sorted. Each one of our store managers has an account. Keith here is one of our store managers. He's the one that uses it day to day. I was, part of implementing it and starting with the setup. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You put your jobs in there, and then you basically turn them on, and it starts, pumping out to all of the platforms out there. And it's pretty amazing what it's done for us, where we can really focus on getting the right person instead of the first person, which was kind of how it had been in the past. The first warm body that would walk through the door that wanted the position, like, hey, oh yeah, great. Whereas now we can be much more, specified on who gets the position. Find a much better match. Bob, you just talked about a bunch of new features which we have yet to embrace, and they all seem great, and I'm kind of excited about that. Can you give us a cost to that?
Yeah, it's $200 flat fee for a year.
For 1 year, and I get all those features built in. Doesn't matter how many locations I have.
No.
That's pretty awesome. Can you tell me how much would this system? Let's say I'm not in the bike co-op and I'm a bike shop with 4 stores. How much would this cost me just to purchase?
For Acquire4Hire or through some other?
No, yeah. Let's say I'm a shoe store, and I'm like, what? I need a hiring platform. I go online, I find Acquire4Hire. What does it cost me?
We mostly only do going through groups, right? So through co-ops or associations. But we have had a few people, and normally we fall somewhere depending on the size of the business. But if it's a small business, it's usually about $500 per year per location.
The only reason I'm asking and driving at this is because I think there's so much value to this that we get it for free, through the co-op. And I think it's a tremendous value that if I had to pay for this on my own, just like one hire cost me $200 and something back with Indeed. And so there's so much value to this program. It's got the bike co-ops got their hooks in me for this because I value this program so much. So that's all I was driving at. There's so much to it, and an additional fee to get those additional features to really help streamline, I think, could be really beneficial. I will ask Bob one more question. Is there any tool, this is what I was really impressed me about Indeed, is they had like a skill test to really filter, and that really helped when we did that first hire. Is Acquire4Hire ever going to come out with something like that?
So we actually were trying to work with Indeed when they first announced the skill tools that they have now. It was probably about 4 years ago, and because they bought a company just specifically for that, and they decided to keep it in-house. So they were gonna let everyone use it, and then they didn't. So we are looking at doing it ourselves. You can get a little of that out of those pre-screen questions, but yeah, it's not exactly the same. But we are looking at it.
Perfect. Yeah, it hasn't been a hindrance us using the program, and it was just a question. I guess I can send it over to Keith for like how he's actually using it day to day. If that's, Caitlin, how you would like to proceed.
Yeah, Keith, if you don't mind bringing us through how you've been using it for your hiring processes, especially if there's a special feature that's really helped you out, and then any different guidance you could give to other members that maybe aren't using the program yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I'm Keith. I'm the store manager for the Bloomfield location for Berkshire Bike Board. I really started using Acquire4Hire for the first time, earlier this spring. And I think just the overarching theme is the most beneficial aspect is how organized that you can stay and keep everything clean and in one place. The platform does a really good job at that. Touching a little bit more on Lacey's question, actually, is, how does this work well for multiple locations? It actually works really well for multiple locations. Multi-location retailers or employers should definitely be using this. You can really customize each job listing according to each location, according to each job. Different descriptions, different requirements. And then the nice thing too is that all the folks who are listed as admins within the company, you can choose which admins see notifications for which jobs. So for example, our service manager for the whole 4 stores, he's copied on basically any applications that come in for service related positions. But somebody in the Hudson store is not going to get notified if somebody applies to the Bloomfield location. So it just helps to kind of keep everything really tidy and keep the right people in the know, which is really nice. Talked a little bit about, kind of custom creating some job listings. That's anywhere from title and description to required experience, to mandating whether or not your candidate has to provide a cover letter. And when you look kind of right in that main menu, it's super easy to see which applicants have included a resume or a cover letter. The cover letter certainly seemed to help people stand out a little bit, and that's just a super easy function that you can just toggle on or off, which is really nice. There's also a feature called workflows, which again, I think really speaks to the organization aspect of it. And workflows, it basically creates a step-by-step process for each job listing individually. So, the process for hiring a new store manager might be a little bit more involved than hiring, say, a part-time mechanic or something like that. So you can actually create a different workflow for each job position. And that's anything from those pre-screening questions to the Q&A, all the way through, first phone interview, second phone interview. So it's really nice. You can kind of customize every step in the process. I would definitely take some questions too, if anybody has any questions. I think the other thing I was going to touch on as well is just the ability to contact candidates. You can kind of make it as automated or as manual as possible, whatever is best for you. You can have these preset email templates set up for when you say, okay, I'm not going to move forward with this candidate. You press reject or move aside, and it'll actually send them an automated email. There's a lot of time-saving tools in here if you really dive in deep. It's really nice.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. It's nice that you talked about those workflows. I didn't highlight any of the functions really in the basic Acquire4Hire programs, but yeah, workflows are really nice. And we also, a few years back, we had gone through and added job templates, job post templates. So I'm not sure, I'm sure you guys customize those on your own, but we do have the basics, kind of drop it down for service, whether it's part-time, full-time, sales, part-time, full-time. There's a few in there as starting points for you. So you can go through and then add, your own little buzzwords, make it your own business language as you're going through those. But we just try to make the process a bit easier, especially for our members that are just getting started on the program. Does anyone else have any questions for anyone on the call, whether it's for Bob or our friends at Berkshire Bike Board? Oh, we got a couple coming in now. All right. So how quickly can a retailer implement this program? I'll take that one, I guess. So if you don't already have an account, you can reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to set you up with one. And right away, I would send you your login information. And really that day you could get up and running on the program. As I just said, we already have some job templates there for you that you could just easily implement and send out to all those job boards, or if you want to spend more time customizing those. But really within a day, you can be up and running on this platform.
You want me to get the next one?
Sure, yes.
Is there a way to regionally restrict where a job is seen? So basically, you can create your locations and you can be exact as you like. And when you assign a location to a job, then when all those when the jobs get sent out to all the people like Indeed, LinkedIn, and whatnot, they do the actual kind of corralling of where the jobs get seen. So yeah.
Yeah, great question, though. Any other questions? If not, you can still feel free to send any questions that you have in an email to me, and I'll get it published out to everyone. We're always looking for, different input. Looks like no other questions are coming in. So cut it a little short. Thank you all for joining. Please feel free to reach out with any other questions. Myself or Bob and his support team is always available to help out as well.
And we're more than willing to if somebody wants to firsthand, experience how we're using it, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. My email is my first initial last name and Berkshire Bike Board, sroot@berkshirebikeandboard.com. I'd be more than willing to talk you through it. To me, it seems like there's no downsides to this implementing, even if you're you've only ever got one person to hire. There's just a lot to it. It simplifies things. It keeps everything nice and tidy, and you can always go back and find things nice. And it's literally as simple as writing out what you want your job description to be, posting it, turning it on, and wait for the applicants.
Great. Yeah, thanks for offering that, Steffen. That's just another nice part of being part of the co-op, I guess, having these people that are willing to share their experiences within the industry. Looks like one more question came in. We're just talking about larger retailers. So it doesn't only have to be for the single shops. It's really for any size business that you have. So I know we do have a handful of members that are 7+, even up to 15 locations around. You can use it for your use as well. You can set up all your locations. As Keith had mentioned, different people within your organization can receive those notifications, so not everyone's being bombarded if it's a job in a whole different region than you. So there is that flexibility within the system. And I'd be happy to do any one-on-one demos with anyone that does have those questions. Alrighty, well, thank you all. I'll be sending this out, as I said, and if any other questions come in, happy to help.
And like I said, check out the videos under the Hiring Plus if you're already in the system, because it does explain in more detail the new features.
Great, thanks, Bob. Thank you all.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. See ya.